Greetings and welcome to another excellent chess video. This is a daily chess problem, so I want to look at this and see what exactly is going on. Got it. Okay, lighting the tactical fuse. Sometimes those names help, sometimes they don't. Okay, this is an X+1 problem. And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, you'll have an advantage over others who don't know. To clarify things, in case this is the first video you have seen or haven't seen very many of my videos, I use terms to describe things in chess that amplify and speed up the learning process. The key thing about chess is that it's very similar to golf in that both games are slow learning games. You don't get good at either one quickly. So the phrase that I use here, this is an X+1. What happens is we want to look at, for example, you want to look at different moves that just come to mind. One of the moves that first came to my mind is knight to f6 check, because you look at moves that are check. You want to look at capturing moves like queen takes f4, because the reason why you want to take this f4 pawn is that if it's gone, then you can play stuff like queen to g3 check with a checkmate threat. The problem is if you play queen to g3 check, he gets pawn takes queen, which is a real problem. So when I said this was an X+1 problem, that's when I had it solved. Okay? And you'll understand once you get the explanation. Now you look and see, my dad's rules are very simple, and whatever applies to the position at hand is what we're going to mention. Here, my dad's rule number 2 is the biggie. What's he trying to do to me? All right, well, he's trying to play queen, rook, or bishop takes this knight. Notice we have two defenders on this knight, queen and rook. He's got queen, rook, and bishop. He's threatening to play simply, well, pawn takes queen also, but he's threatening, if you move your queen to defend it, well, then he's just going to chop rook takes knight, and you're going to get smoked. Or just bishop takes knight, and then retreat this bishop back to g6 for defensive purposes. So you look at stuff like rule number 2, what can he do to me? Your counter thing is, well, what can I do to help my position? Like I said, knight f6 check is a nice move. It forces like pawn. If he plays pawn takes knight, well, then you can play queen takes rook, and that's checkmate. Problem is, when you play this move, that pawn takes rook is a double question mark move. It's a horrible move. He's got a better move. So you got to ask yourself, well, and this is the thing that I see a lot. When I see people's videos, they make these things and they're like looking at stuff. And what they're trying to do is they behave in what you would look at as a paranoid way. They're trying not to lose. They're trying not to make a mistake. And that's natural and wrong. It's natural because that seems to be the way it would work. That's not really the way it works best. Does it work? It can, yes. It's not the best way. And it's a crutch. And it makes you avoid doing what you need to do to actually win. And what makes you win is training. There's just no substitute for training. Build your skills. So you see a lot of hesitation. So knight to f6 check, double question mark. Pawn takes knight, double question mark. Well, he's got bishop takes knight. That's the move that stops it. So look at this for a second. We're going to use the chess eye. Knight to f6 check, bishop takes f6, stops the threat. The king cannot move, so any check is devastating and forces his hand. Bishop takes knight is forced and good. All right, so that's not the move. Knight f6 is not the move. it's the sequence here. There's many different techniques that I teach to improve your chess play, to figure out what's going on. One of them, I don't mention it very often, but when it's the right one, it's the right one. One of the ones I use a lot is the brute force technique, and that's what knight f6 is. Knight f6 check is a brute force technique. Brute force is like take the most obvious, like in your face kind of move. Knight f6 check. What are you going to do now, Bobby Fischer? That's one of my dad's best phrases. Bishop takes knight. Thanks for the free knight. All right? So that doesn't work. So this one turns out to be an x+1. You look at the move, for example, and if you haven't found the move, you might want to pause the video and see if you can find it. If you've already figured out the move because I've given you kind of hints, great. If you haven't figured it out and you want to see me do it, I'm going to do it right now. The answer is queen to g3 check wins. Well, didn't you say pawn takes queen? Yes, pawn takes queen is exactly correct. Now, this is a very common, I make a move, he makes a move. You have one move and one move, okay? So we're looking two-piece moves deep. Queen g3 check, pawn takes queen. Don't you feel stupid now? Well, after two-piece moves, yes, but this is x+1. So x is the obvious stuff. Queen g3 check, pawn takes queen. That's two moves. Let's go x+1. The third move. What would the third most likely move be? Well, queen g3 check, pawn takes queen. The most obvious move in my mind, in my eye, is rook takes g3 check. And now what are you going to do, Bobby Fischer? My dad's phrase once again. Now the answer is you're going to get annihilated. Or at least it looks that way. So queen g3 check, pawn takes queen, rook takes pawn check. Now bishop to g7. And we have rook takes bishop check, king to h8. And the killer move here, and this is not easy to see, is knight f6. Why is knight f6 so killer? Again, if he plays pawn takes, wait a second, be careful. Oh, that's not check. Very interesting. Oh, no. Okay, now this is a classic. Again, it's part of brute force technique indirectly. This is the old, here's the sequence that's not working. Whoops. The sequence that's not working is queen g3 check, pawn takes queen, rook takes pawn check, bishop to g7, the only move. The most natural move for white, rook takes g7. It's probably double question mark. Check. He can play either king f8 or king to h8. King to h8 is the move I think he would play. But rook takes g7 check is actually not the best move because you find out that after rook takes check, king h8, what are you going to do, Bobby Fischer? Well, you don't have time to play knight f6 check because number one, it's not check. And so he doesn't have to take it with pawn takes and then rook takes, rook is mate. His queen is attacking this rook. So when I saw this, I'm like, well, knight to f6 needs to come with check. That's the key. So we're going to do the old switcherooski. Flip the order. So let's go. This part is good. Queen g3 check, double exclamation. Pawn takes queen, the best move for black. Rook takes pawn check, also the best move for white. Bishop to g7 forced, no other move is possible. And now, instead of the natural rook takes bishop check, we're going to interpose knight to f6 check. What are you going to do, Bobby Fischer? The problem he's got is that he can't play pawn takes knight because the queen's gone. Rook takes rook is checkmate. So if you go knight f6 check, he goes, well, I'll go king to f8. The bishop is here, the black bishop. All right. I'll go through this. My technique in tournaments especially is to repeat the entire sequence to refresh my mind so I don't skip around. Now, I can see this, what have you, but rook, queen g3 check, pawn takes queen, rook takes pawn check, bishop g7, king to f8. I'm sorry, bishop to g7, knight to f6 check, king to f8, and now bishop takes pawn check guarded by, bishop takes bishop check guarded by the rook, and that's a checkmate. So this is smoking him. So queen checks, pawn takes queen, rook takes pawn check, bishop g7, knight f6 check. If he plays pawn takes knight, rook takes rook, is a checkmate. And if you go knight f6 check, and he doesn't go king to f8, he goes king to h8, then you play again, bishop takes bishop check, the knight guards the g8 and h7 squares, and the bishop guarded by the rook on g3. This is crushing. So queen to g3 check is the winning move. Now, I used a brute force technique to look at this knight f6 idea, which didn't work by itself because we didn't establish the order. We got to establish the proper order of moves, okay, like counting. And turns out the idea of queen checks and then rook checks and then rook takes bishop check, it wasn't the correct move order, but we're closing it in. We're taking it and we're totally constricting it and making the order more and more perfect. So now let's go for the solution. Queen to g3 check, double exclamation. All right. Pawn takes queen, and now rook takes pawn. Again, now remember, this queen's attacking this rook. As soon as he gets a chance, he'll take this and kill us. But that's okay. We're good. Now, the mistake, and one of the things I want to mention to you guys, is you want to look at positions that occur in these combinations and look for the mistakes that can be made. Rook takes bishop, the most natural move, is a mistake. Double question mark, terrible. The move that's crushing is knight f6 check. So he plays pawn takes, and then we play rook takes rook. That's a checkmate. All right? Ta-da! Yeah, okay. Now, that was kind of a difficult problem, but this is what I talk about when I say my dad's rules. My dad taught me these different rules over time as I was growing older and getting more and more familiar with the game and becoming, more educated in life as well as chess. So let's go back again. Double exclamation point move. Now, the thing is, the reason I do these like this, what you're seeing, is that I don't do it fake. I don't set up problems to make myself look good, because that doesn't do any good for you. I see these guys do these all the time. They do this stuff, and it's as fake as a $3 bill to make themselves look, woo, you're impressive. They already have prepared lines, whatever. I get the position from chess.com. You could go there today yourself and look at it and go, well, that's the same problem, all right? Okay? I get it from there because I come from the tournament world of chess. The tournament world of chess is that it's the real world, okay? This is where the fight happens, not online and not in these online lessons with these studios and, pre set up stuff. Now, if you have, someone who's a grandmaster or what have you, they're obviously from the real world. They're not faking it for you, okay? But there's a lot of these guys that are. They're faking it hardcore. So I do this, so you see it. I don't even edit these videos because 2 reasons. Number 1, I'm lazy and I want to edit it, all right? Number 2, it looks fake if you edit the video, because then they're like, hey, what did you cut out? I don't cut out anything because I do it as it is. If you're seeing it, you're watching as if you were standing right next to me going, well, that's the move, all right. I don't have a phone to use to cheat with an engine, okay? A chess engine. I don't do that. Why would you do that? The reason you would do that is so you could fake and make people think you're better than you are. Well, I'm better than you think I am. That's what's important to me. I do it all real, and you saw me do it bing, bang, boom. Like I told you, it's an x+1. Let me get you to the x+1. X+1 is we look 2 moves deep, the pawn takes queen, and it looks horrible, but we added a move, and that was the third move was rook takes pawn check, and we're like, oh, now we've got this windmill type setup, which normally rook takes g7 is the windmill move. Turns out that was wrong, because the other thing that I do, and every good player does this, they look at their potential moves and go, that move is a blunder. Okay, let's get there. Check, takes, check, and rook takes bishop is a blunder, right? Wow, I don't know why this thing went wacky like that. Very bizarre. Anyway, we'll do it this way. So that's quite weird, to say the least. Anyway, let's try this again. Does not compute. Anyway, rook takes. I'm getting this weird effect on my stupid screen. Why is this doing that? It doesn't make any sense at all. All right. Oh, here we go. There we go. Got it. Got it fixed. No problems. Anyway, every time you have a chance to make a move, you want to look and see. Now you see this, and it's a paranoid. The way I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it the way the guys do it who look paranoid. Like, is that a blunder? I'm looking for it. It's like I look at this in my mind, and my chess eye says rook takes bishop check, but I don't have a follow-up move. This is not a technical. Normally, a technical windmill, the bishop is going to be on a long diagonal, so he's going to have control of h8. I don't have that, so this rook move would be terrible. That's why I realized I needed to invert the order. Instead of rook takes bishop check, king to f8 or h8, knight f6 is no longer check in that case. I want knight f6 to be with check. And this is the crusher, because this is part of a checkmate configuration. One of the checkmate configurations with a king in the corner area is a knight on f6, and then rook to g8 could be checkmate, or rook to h7 could be checkmate. So in the right position, a knight on f6 is a devastating move, especially when it comes there with check, which is what we do here. Now again, if he plays king to f8, bishop takes bishop is a checkmate. King to h8, bishop takes bishop is a checkmate. This is another checkmate configuration. This knight controlling the two light squares, the bishop on the dark squares, the combination is devastating. You want to look for the blunder, but I'm doing it like a detective trying to solve a crime, looking for the blunder, all right? The guys you see in these videos, most of the time, they're looking for the blunder because they're afraid of it. You look at me when I'm doing these, I'm not afraid of these moves at all. I'm like, okay, well, that's not the good move. So it's like, to me, it's another challenge to find the blunder and then avoid it with the correct sequence of moves using the guidance tools that I have are my dad's rules. And that's how I get these problems. And I just annihilate them on their face randomly. I don't pre-prepare this. I can't pre-prepare this because boom, it's there. You access it and it's there. And if you miss it, make a mistake, it would be on the right-hand side. You'd see that on screen, that there's a mistake on the right-hand side. Okay, in a second here. What is going on? Let's do this. All right, anyway, let's go there. I don't know why this is acting up really weird this time, but it's okay. So the key thing, whoops, is here, and here. I don't know. This thing has gotten all whacked out of line. I don't know what happened. Well, I don't know why that is the case. I literally could not tell you. Anyway, very bizarre. This is very bizarre. Well, I'm trying to fix this garbage. Well, we'll just do it this way and call it even. All right, no problems. Okay, whatever. Well, bottom line is, I don't fake my way through these problems because that's how the weak guys do it. I'm not here to fake and do anything. I have actual success in actual tournaments, including winning first place trophies in actual tournaments, and I can show it to you at some point. The point is, you only get to be strong if you're strong everywhere, not just under fake studio settings, okay? So that's the key with this problem. And we're looking for blunders, but they're to be identified and then defeated here with the chess brain, and that's the key, because you have the conflict of chess eye, which sees things visually, and chess brain, which has to get in there and tournament face. It's like, what am I doing here? Okay, this is how I was using my chess brain to figure out the knight f6 check business. So hope you enjoyed it. Don't know what happened with my setup, and I got to fix this later. But we try to do it again. I'm not going to edit it out because it makes me look weird. So the weirdness happened on the computer, whatever, who cares? I got it more or less fixed. The key thing is you'll notice the date right there. 2015, December 15, 2024. That is the date of today.